With Valentine's around the corner, Barron's Penta set out to find the world's most romantic wines. I'm Jack Otter, editor of Barron's.com. I'm here with Marika Vida, the sommelier at the Ritz Carlton Central Park, a very romantic spot. So, Marika, is there such thing as a romantic wine?
I believe you need to drink what you love, but Valentine's Day definitely lends itself to theme of colors, a theme of sweetness.
So what are the wines you love, if money were no object?
If we weren't worried about money, we've got a couple lovely bottles in front of me here. Chateau Petrus, this is the 1947. There were a number of years right after the World War II ended that were wonderful, and I think a lot of that had to do with the mindset of Europe and certainly France at that time. Petrus, even though the region of Pomerol is not classified, if it were to be, it would be above all the rest. Very small production, only 11 hectares, and it's planted in this blue clay, which the soil is not to be found anywhere else. And then, of course, if we really want to have some fun, we can go with the 1870 Lafitte. First growth, so now we're talking left bank as opposed to right bank.
First growth right after they actually said what first growths were, only a few years later.
Exactly, and the key here is this is pre-phylloxera. So phylloxera devastated everything in the 1880s. They had to replant all the rootstock. So it's very heralded from the standpoint of getting it at auction because these wines are incredibly uncommon.
So just in case the corner wine shop doesn't stock the 47 or the 1870, what would you recommend also among your favorites for a Valentine's dinner?
From a white standpoint, I'm a huge fan of the very famed vineyard Murrica. With Burgundy, you always want to be conscious of the producer. So this would be Ramonet. I'm not as convinced. 96 was a great year. This is white wines. It's a bit older. You have to be careful because it could be over the hill. Chardonnay, when it ages, kind of caramelizes and takes on a nutty characteristic, and that's not for everyone. Of course, I just pair it with something different. I would do this with a cheese plate and maybe some honeyed hazelnuts. You can certainly find younger vintages of this.
Few things are more intimidating on a wine list, though, than Burgundy. How do you steer someone through that?
You really need to know your producer. And I would say you also you need to be vintage specific, although the better the producer, I've had what's quoted as off vintages that have been wonderful.
Another option is to choose a wine that comes from a romantic part of the world. I, for some reason, have always associated Amarone with Valentine's Day, but it wasn't until I met you that you explained to me why I do that.
It's Romeo and Juliet, right? So if we look at the region, the Veneto region, and we look at Verona, we absolutely think of Amarone. And the method and the way that they make it, using, they're drying the grapes, they're raisinating the grapes and fermenting them. And there's a whole drying process that is really complex. The special occasion thing, yes, I think people automatically think of Romeo and Juliet. Just incidentally, I've been to both castles. Juliet's a lot better.
Oh, good to know. Meanwhile, to the south, Argentina, as you point out, land of romance.
So I have to put a New World wine in here because I tend to be a little biased, and if I had to pick a New World wine that I was excited about, looking at Argentina, you're hard pressed to find a more romantic place. The producer, Catena Zapata, essentially this family put Mendoza and Malbec on the map. The Adriana vineyard is very special because it's 5,000 feet up in the Andes, and I think most people think of Malbec, they think of every day, they think of wine by the glass. It shows how regal this grape can become.
And at Barron's, we should point out that right now, given the finances of Argentina and the strong dollar, you can get some pretty good deals on Malbec and from Argentina.
Wonderful deals.
So Marika, we've talked about what's in the bottles. Let's talk about the outside briefly. More often these days, at weddings, the couple will actually have bottles personalized on everybody's table. It turns out some wineries will actually let you do this with individual bottles.
Right.
So is that hokey? Do you think that's a good idea? Hall Winery, for instance, will do it, and I like the wine that's inside.
You know what? I think anything goes. And I love the wines of Hall, too. And I think it's a special thing to get an etched bottle. Who doesn't want to have something like that? So I'm absolutely fine with it. Valentine's is hokey. When you look at romance, what's waiting in your hotel room on ice is going to be champagne. I think you know, when we talk about vintage champagne, I have a bottle of the O2 Ruinart in front of me, the Dom Ruinart, which is like their prestige cuvée. And the O2 vintage, to me, I have yet to find anything coming from that vintage that I don't love. So this is something that you can find.
And what's a romantic dinner without Bordeaux?
I'm with you on that. I am a huge Bordeaux fan. In particular, when you smell the Calansagur, which is my choice for today, you smell dirt. For me, Saint Estèphe, probably the most credible ageability. And from, you know, rack of lamb, you know, definitely a piece of red meat with this.
Any great years here that we should talk about?
So this is the 2010. This is a little young, but touted years 05, 2000, 80, 89, 86, 82, very heralded. Yeah, I mean, you know, your classic left bank Bordeaux years.
So of course we always associate Valentine's with sweets, and you've got a sweet wine, if that's not a pejorative thing for me to say?
No, not at all. I have a dessert wine, sweet wine, however you want to put it. It's a Tokai from Hungary. And I'm Hungarian, so I'm a little biased here because I believe I was weaned on it. You know, my grandmother would always give me dark chocolate-covered orange peel. Louis XV of France called it the wine of kings, the king of wines. It is kind of Hungary's Sauterne.
Dessert is the perfect place to end it. I am now very well informed going into Valentine's Day. Thank you, Marika.
Thank you, Jack. Thanks for having me, and happy Valentine's Day.
You too.